So Melissa, so I saw that Melissa, the Greek word is honeybee.
Yeah,
So this is why you created a world of honey.
right. Because when I very first made that account, I knew I already loved pole dancing, and at first I was like my main vision was focusing on pole, but then I was like, well, what if I like other stuff, or what if I want to try like lyra, the aerial hoop, and silks, or random stuff, or I also was getting into plant-based cooking at the time. And it's like, well, what if I want to talk about that? So instead of like having like a pole account like in my name, I just wanted it to be like all worlds of honey, like all the things that I like to talk about and do.
That's nice. Like a
Yeah.
mix of everything that you love.
Right. So that way I wouldn't feel like I'm trapped in a box where if I had like my account name be like Melissa pole dances, it's kind of weird to randomly talk about something else, you know?
True. So tell us more about you, Melissa. So what do you like doing? Tell us more about you.
More about me. Let's see. I'm 25 recently. This past April I just turned 25.
Happy birthday,
Um
belated birthday.
Thank you. I was born in California, Los Angeles to be specific, and I spent most of my childhood there. But I ended up moving to Atlanta, Georgia, a southern state, which is very different from California. And that was during my like middle school and high school years. So it was a big part of my upbringing and cultural shaping, I would say. And then I came back to California for college, but now I'm in Long Beach, which is about it's about like 40-ish minutes outside of LA, something like that, with a little traffic. Um, so yeah, I've just kind of been there. I haven't traveled outside of the country ever, but I've only traveled to many states. I know.
Been to
Travel.
the US once,
Hmm.
been to Texas and Oklahoma. My dad lives
Hmm.
in Texas. My mom lives in Florida.
Oh
I live there
wow.
too.
So are you there alone, or do you still have
No,
family on the island?
I live with my grandma. But it's nice. So you've been like into several states in America.
Yes, I've been to several states, but I've only mostly lived in two.
Okay.
I found pole dancing around like my last year of college. Um, and it was kind of the perfect time to find it because I was someone that always enjoyed school and never felt like a chore in a weird way. Like it kind of was like a nice little escape to just focus on studies. But towards the end of my year, I just was really over it. And it became really stressful. Obviously, the classes are harder too at that point in my college career. So I was just really stressed out all the time, working too much, and finding pole was like that perfect outlet to just release so much energy
Energy.
and like just get more in tune with my feminine energy because I felt like a lot of my life I was more tapped into like more masculine energy, and it was nice to be able to like focus on the feminine and really let her come out, I guess.
I saw a video, in fact, where you were saying like how pole dancing helped you tap into that feminine energy, and how
Yes.
like how people experiences how they were treated before were the reason why maybe a lot of women have that masculine energy. And I think, for
Yes.
instance, I come from like single parent family, like a single
Hmm.
mom, and I understand what you were saying about that, masculine energy.
Yes.
Can you tell us more about that? Because I think it's something very interesting.
Definitely. And I also agree with that. I mean, even though my dad was like in my life, I always grew up with just my mom and I would more just visit him. So I felt like on a day-to-day basis, there wasn't like a strong masculine presence in the house. And maybe I subconsciously felt the need to fill that role and like be there for my mom and stuff. Um, and it's also just like going throughout the world, right? As a woman, you relate and you almost have to be on guard all the time in this weird way to protect yourself from anyone, whether it's men or other women. You know, it can be kind of, it's a different world for women, right? To grow up. And I feel like it's just easier to tap into your masculine energy just to protect yourself as like self-defense, but it can also put a lot of people off, and which is understandable because we want to be balanced with all of our energies, right? Just like if a man's way too masculine, it's just like, whoa, you know, like calm down.
And it's
So,
difficult sometimes to know that we are giving that vibe, because it's like unconscious. You're unconscious
it's
giving that
unconscious.
vibe.
Yeah, I didn't even realize it until I had to kind of be told just throughout my life, because it was normal to me to just kind of say what's on my mind whenever I want to say it, and I don't really care, or have a certain tone. And I didn't realize how it could come across very off-putting, maybe if it's too much. But at the same time, I was just protecting myself, you know, so I don't regret it at all. I'm just glad that I was able to find a balance now in my life, because I feel like masculine energy is very important, especially like for a woman to be able to hone her masculine energy, because we can be so loving and nurturing and sweet, and then people can take advantage of that. So it's like having that masculine energy allows us to not be taking advantage of, but we also have to tap into our feminine to make sure we can still bring that out to those who deserve it.
Yeah. So you started pole dancing in 2019.
Yeah.
How did you find that discipline? How did you find it in college?
Yes, I found it in college. I actually, what's funny is I wasn't going to try pole at first. I got a random, I think I saw a girl on my Instagram doing silks with the actual 2 separate silks, not the hammock, but just the silks. And she just looked really cool. She was very advanced. Like, she was very advanced. She did the most crazy fluid movements. And I was like, whoa, that looks fun. I want to try it. But so I ended up purchasing like a 2-week pass to my studio that I go to now. And once I already purchased it, a lot of the silks classes, the times just didn't work for me. And I was like, okay, well, I already spent the money, so I might as well just go to pole instead. And I was hooked from the very first class. This was about June or July of 2019. I don't remember exactly. I think July. And I was hooked immediately. So for 2 weeks, I filled up all the classes that I could, and I just went all the time. And that's when I just, like you said, like that feminine energy was finally like found and starting to unravel inside of me. And it was just, what was really cool about it is that even though I couldn't do anything yet for pole dancing and I didn't have the strength, it was just really different to be in a room full of women, and it's like everyone's nice to each other, and there's no like jealousy or competition or anything like that. There's no insecurities once you close the studio door, you know, because we're all just beginners, we're all just figuring it out. Like even when like you first like take off your shirt and you're like in your sports bra, like you feel so weird at first like around other girls, but all of a sudden, like you notice each week that everyone gets more comfortable. Like it's like a joke in the community too. Like your first pole class, you're taking it off all shy, you're like nervous, but then you're like a month in, you're just like, let's do this.
You know? It's like you guys are growing together. So you still have that group?
No, yes and no, because obviously some people will start pole dancing and then maybe stop going to the studio for whatever reason. But the people that I made friends with at the same time, we start at the same time and they're still doing it. We are still friends and we sometimes still dance together. And it's just really nice to have like that type of sisterhood, like you said, where there's none of that catty drama that you experience, especially as a girl, like in high school or something. You know, girls can be so mean, and it's like, it's nice being around other women that really support and uplift each other, because that's really rare.
Yeah, true. Because there's a lot of competition, like I will do best, I will do. So it's good, like you're like helping each other to grow in a sense.
Oh, definitely. Everyone helps each other. Everyone's cheering each other on, especially when you get a new move or something, like whatever it is. You have people cheering you on, and no one's like angry or jealous, because you understand that, like, say if you start pole with a certain person and one person's advancing a little bit faster, sometimes you might feel a little bit down, like, oh, why can't I do this yet? but it's not in a way where you're like mad at the other person. It's just like you have to realize, like, there's no jealousy. It's more like everyone's on their own journey. Everyone has a completely different body and everyone will get it. It's just some people get it a little faster. You know what I mean? And that's what's nice about pole, is that everyone has the opportunity to do the things they want to do. It's just everyone has a different timeline.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it takes a lot of practice to do pole dancing. So do you have like a grade? Like, okay, you're first level, second level. How does it work?
Yes, there are sort of grades, but what's interesting is I think it still needs a lot of work in the community because it's not a very regulated community yet, obviously. And like, for example, you have your intro to pole. Like for my studio specifically, you have classes that are just intro, usually for people's like first or third time. Then you have beginner pole, which is like you've been going for a little while, but you still don't have the strength to do like tricks and stuff. But it's just helping you like get with the flow, and you're mostly on the ground the whole time, still kind of dancing. And then you have level 1, 2, which is where I would consider myself to be at, which is beginner intermediate. So I can do beginner stuff and some tricks, but I can't do like the super crazy advanced stuff yet. But then you have advanced, which would be like level 2, 3, intermediate to advanced. And that's about it at my studio, at least. And then, but what's interesting about like the levels, like you said, is there's so many different types of pole dancing. And I feel like say for the stuff in the air and all the hard tricks, like that would be considered like a level 2, 3, but we don't have levels like that for if people want to do like the sensual style, like with the heels and all that. Like you might have just beginner and advanced, but there's not really like levels in there. It's only for like the harder trick stuff. But a lot of people will assume that like the sexier style of pole is like easier, but it's actually really hard. Sometimes I actually think it's harder because you're trying to you need a lot of strength to hold certain poses and move certain ways and make it look so easy, almost like a little, like you're like a snake or something. And it's really hard, but there's still a lot of like stigma of like, is that hard? Is it not? And I think it is either just as hard or if not harder, but there's not the levels the same, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
So guys, I saw like different competitions. So there are competitions on pole dancing. So how does it work? Do you usually do competitions? How is it?
Okay, yeah. So I want to compete one day. I've never competed yet because I don't know. I'm too nervous, and it's a big step, you know. But I do
try.
One day. Or maybe like next year or something, hopefully when stuff opens back up, because we're still in like a lot of lockdowns here. But what's cool about competitions is it happens all over the world, and there's so many different types of competitions. So, and I don't know too much about the competition world, but what I like about competition is that is going to be a huge piece in breaking down a lot of stigma with pole dancing, because that's how you can really view pole dancing as a sport rather than just like, you know, and that's not to put down workers or anything, like, you know, they're doing their thing too. And that's also hard, but people don't realize there's a whole other side of pole as well. And neither side needs to be shamed, you know? So what's cool about competitions is there's even children who participate in like Russia, for example. They treat it like gymnastics there. It's not sexualized at all.
Nice.
Do it. It's really interesting. So that's what I like about competitions, is it definitely will help in getting rid of stigma. And I think it's what's going to help bring pole dancing to the Olympics one day.
Oh, that's nice. I hope to see that one day. And maybe you'll be like a contestant.
I can dream.
But you said an interesting thing is about stigma. So usually when people say pole dancing, they think about strippers because of the way it is portrayed in films. So how do you think we can change the stigma? I think it's through education, through what you're doing, for instance, on your website, by talking about it. But what else do you think we can do in order to remove that stigma?
I think the number one thing is just putting out more information and just showing the world pole in the first place, and showing so many different types of pole, right? Because yes, we have the sensual style, the exotic style, which exotic is a term they don't really want to use anymore because of there's like a lot of stigma with that word, and colonialism and things like that. So it's like, it's more preferred to say like erotic or like sensual. But yeah, that's all we ever see with pole dancing. And although that's a very valid section of the pole world, people don't realize that you can also do pole sport, which is basically just gymnastics. And then you have pole art, which is like very contemporary flow. It's almost like you're just a ballerina, like in the air. And you have like sling style, which is still similar to like sensual exotic style, erotic style, but it's just still a little different. It's not as fast and it's more like slow, you know?
Yeah.
But just showing the world that there's so many different sides to pole. What's also huge is pole recently made it to Cirque du Soleil, even though it's considered aerial fit. A lot of people would stigmatize pole with circus world, even though it's just as hard. So what's cool is that that's finally in the Cirque du Soleil. So all of those things is what's going to help show people, hey, this is a sport. And if you don't have to like the sexy stuff of it, but you don't have to do that stuff. There's so many other things that you can do, right? Even in China, you have guys who are fully clothed who do, I think it's just called Chinese pole, but their pole is fully wrapped in grip, so they can be fully clothed and they're just doing all types of crazy stuff off of it. And that's just all we have to see. Is the more you see it, I think the easier it is to accept it.
Yeah.
No.
How do you feel when you practiced pole dancing? Like, what is that one feeling you feel when you start moving around the pole, practicing it?
Mm-hmm. I would definitely say I feel like I'm in a meditative state. Like I don't really feel anything. It's almost like my head's totally clear. And those days are when I have like my best training sessions and I can get like every move I want to get. But if I just feel like a release of emotions. Like if I'm feeling really sad, it feels so good to pole dance. And even if I'm not doing anything, just twirling around, like it just feels so good. And one of my pole, we call her like pole sisters. She saw me when I got one of my first moves when I was still a beginner. It was a ballerina pose, and I was so excited. And she was like, "Oh my gosh, the way you dance, it's almost like you're doing yoga." And I never thought about it like that. And I was like, that's exactly how it feels on the inside.
Yeah, it looks like the way you turn your body. It's like it shows that there's a lot of discipline behind that practice.
Right. And what's interesting about pole is that even though it's really hard, and I know it can intimidate a lot of people to even commit to it, you know, they go to a couple classes, it's too hard, I can't climb, and they don't want to keep going. But with pole, it's like, it doesn't matter how many times you do something, you will fail over and over, and then all of a sudden you'll get it, and you'll pretty much always have it as long as you keep practicing those moves, right? So what's exciting about pole is that like your efforts are always rewarded. You know, it's not like other things where like you just don't have it. Like maybe like with music, like you either can play or you can't, you know. But with pole, and don't get me wrong, obviously you can't do every single move. It depends on your anatomy and everything. But for the most part, you can do a lot of stuff. And it's shown me how amazing the human body is and what it's really capable of doing. Because if I can go from not even getting like this high above the floor, pulling myself up, and I can do what I can do now, it's like, it makes you feel like you can do anything.
Nice. Like little baby step on the long run, like amazing results.
That's exactly how it is too. It's like I noticed what made me keep going and what helped me when I still was very weak is I would celebrate the small victories, right? Like, okay, I can't climb that high yet, but you know, I was able to hold myself up for like 2 seconds longer this time. And it's like you have to notice the small steps or else it's easy to just be like give up on pole.
Nice. So pole dancing changed like your mindset. Like The way
Oh,
you.
for sure. It changed everything. It's kind of, it's sometimes it's weird how just picking up a certain discipline, no matter what it is, like completely shifts your perspective on life, the way you think through problems. Because I think it's helped me also just like love myself in a way I never have before. So when you have like this love for yourself and you know how strong you are and you know you can overcome something, you're less likely to take someone else's shit, you know? I mean, I don't know if I can, you know what I mean?
So there's an interesting thing you said is like how pole dancing changed your life. Like when you were 21, 22, you went through hardship, and like pole dancing was like a savior. And there's
Yes.
a beautiful phrase that you said is like pole dancing healed your mind.
Yes,
Very,
definitely.
very beautiful. And I think maybe people that are listening. So how would you tell them about pole dancing? How did it heal your mind?
I would say it definitely healed my mind in a way of, I'm trying to get the right words. Similar to like how I said is like, okay, for one example, because there's a lot of ways it can heal my mind, but one thing that I noticed that happened pretty quickly with pole was that it made me not really care too much about like what I look like. And as a woman, like, you know, we can relate to this. There's so much pressure a certain way and keeping up a certain image as a woman. And it's so ridiculous. And what's nice about pole is it made me realize, wow, like the body's so amazing. This is amazing. Look what I can do, rather than like, oh, but look at like how I look in this lighting at this angle. Like, I don't care about that. I'm not gonna, you know what I mean? It's like, look at what I can do. I can lift my body weight over my head, you know? Like, so you start to like care about the things that really matter in a way. I start to care about my body for, it's like instead of viewing my body as just like, oh, it's just my body, not something you're thinking about. It's like I view it as the vessel that it is. And it's like your body's like your car, right? Like for your spirit. So it's like, this is my car and I have to take really, really good care of it so that I can go from here to here and do all these cool things, rather than just like curling my hair a certain way or putting on a certain lipstick. Like, who cares about that, you know?
It
It's
helps.
like it's like, you know, when you get a car and they put like eyelashes on the car, it's like that's what we're doing to our bodies, instead of like putting the premium gas in and like doing your self-love and like just saying like positive affirmations and being grateful for the body.
Yeah, like
Yes. So
representing the soul.
exactly. So it helped me fix that, which I think was a big part in me just loving myself and picking more, I just having a better quality of life, right? Like now if I love myself and I know my strength, I'm not going to be friends with someone who makes me feel bad. You know what I mean? And a lot of us might have those toxic friendships where you don't get rid of them because they've been your childhood friend. And it's like, no, forget that. Like, I want to talk to myself a certain way, and either you talk to me that way as well, or goodbye. And it's like Pole helped give me that energy. Like it gave me the confidence to be able to put my foot down more in my life and still hone my masculine energy, but do it more gracefully. You know what I mean?
That's a nice.
That's
That's a nice way
yes.
to say that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, so that's very nice. How one activity can change a life. Like,
Yes. And I think anyone can get this from anything, like whether it's pole or like martial arts or something, you know, things that are very focused on mind over matter. Those are the things that really change you. And I think it's important for women in particular to do these things, and everyone, but like my focus is women, because there's already so much against us in society that we have to overcome. And like when women can step into their power and fully be confident, not cocky, but confident, and have and know your worth, like that's when the things really get moving. You know, that's when society really starts to change. Because I feel like women, we're so strong and we're built to put up with a lot of mess. And I don't think that's on accident. I think we are truly really strong, and men are very strong too. We're just strong in different ways. And being able to hone in that power is what's going to really bring society forward and get rid of like old pattern thinkings and all the stuff that we talked about earlier.
There's another thing interesting I saw is like you are in veganism.
Oh, yes.
So did your journey with pole dancing bring you on that path of veganism?
Yes and no. Yes and no, because I noticed that when I started doing pole, I naturally wanted to eat healthier. It was kind of weird. I didn't choose it. Like I used to eat like burgers and stuff, and like all of a sudden it kind of tasted gross to me. I don't know if it's from like working out, like doing these full body workouts, that it's just changed like what my body really wants to eat. But I noticed, or like I would love to eat like hot Cheetos, like chips and stuff. And all of a sudden I was like, I'd actually rather have an orange today, you know? So it helps me at first just get healthier. But honestly, the only reason I transitioned to plant-based lifestyle was at the start of COVID, because, you know, I wanted to keep my immune system up, and I just don't really trust a lot of animal products. I know that dairy has always been bad for me. So that was easy to cut out. And then with animal products, it just wasn't making me feel good. I noticed I felt pretty bad after. So I just did that mostly because I was listening to my body. But pole influenced a healthier lifestyle. And yeah, that's pretty much it for that. And I've been enjoying it, just eating more veggies and fruits and being more in tune with that, because I feel like it's more, if anything, it's more natural for us. I think in America, especially, we've normalized eating meat with like every meal. And then it's like, of course we have all these health problems, you know, especially if it's like pork or red meat. And this isn't to like put down what people are eating, but it's like, at least in America, that we're pumping our animals with all these chemicals. It's not like it used to be, like with indigenous. Exactly. Like, you know, it's not like we're out hunting and it's like real authentic meat. It's like, it's all these chemicals and fake stuff. And of course it's going to be bad for us in the long run. So that was really the main reason. I just became aware of like how gross it made me feel. So I just stopped.
So you work like your mind, body, and soul. It was like, it all gathers to the thing you said about the universal law, like we are all connected in a way. So it was your way maybe to bring that, you know, the vibe, like you get the thing, like
Yes.
the more purity, like I would say.
Yes, it definitely, that's what I liked about pole too, is I feel like it connected my mind, body, spirit, like almost all at once. Like for the most, well, it tackled my mind first, my body second, spirit third, but it happened almost like really fast, where it felt like it happened all at once. Because it's like, once you tackle your mind, you'll naturally, I feel like, want to take care of your body. And then spirit just follows naturally. Like you don't even have to try.
It all came into place like a tap, tap, tap.
Yes, like Tetris or something.
Yeah. I wanted to know more about your website, your work, what you're doing, like on YouTube. Tell us more about your purpose, your aim in the future.
Yes, yes. So I started my website because I just wanted to have a place where like I told you, like I could just talk about a lot of the things I'm interested in, because I've always had this like thing inside of me that just wanted to share with the world, but I couldn't really pick the thing I wanted to share. So it was just nice having one platform where I can just let my thoughts out and also connect with other people, because I knew that I wasn't alone with a lot of the things I was feeling or a lot of things that I have to say. And I just wanted to be able to better connect with other people, right? Like we're all looking for connection. So that was just the reason for starting my website. And I figured, why not, you know, like I didn't really expect to have a website, but when I had this one internship when I was in college, I helped work on other clients' websites. And I was like, you know, this is kind of cool. Like, why not have a website? It wasn't something I thought about until I had that internship. And then the YouTube is very recent, as you can see, another platform to basically share the same content because, you know, in this day and age in 2021, a lot of people, I'm even me, like I prefer video content over like a written blog. So I just wanted to be able to still talk about the things I'm talking about, but just have another form of connection because I also really like film and video. Like I went to school for that for a little bit. So it's just a fun way to tackle all of my interests. Like I like writing, I like filming videos, and I like talking, I like dancing. So it's just a place to bring it all together.
Was it
Mm-hmm.
natural to you at first, or were you like, okay, I'm a little bit scared to put myself out there because it can be intimidating?
Definitely. I feel that way still with my YouTube. Sometimes when I post, like after I post it, like I will not rewatch the video because it's just too much. But with my website, I was also pretty scared at first, but now that I've had the website for a year, I feel totally comfortable. I enjoy writing and updating it, and I don't feel that fear at all when I'm posting something. But I think it's just because when it's something new, you're gonna feel that way, and I've gotten enough positive feedback, and sometimes validation is good in that way to like calm those nerves. It's like if someone sees my blog and they're like, oh my God, I relate to this so much, it makes me feel like, okay, I'm doing a good thing by putting this content out. Whereas if maybe no one responded in over a year of me having the website, then I'd be like,
Like if you like at least one person like made a difference in the life of one person, it's like,
oh,
wow.
for sure. Like if just one person tells me they read my blog, like I feel like, okay, I'm doing the right thing. And this is all stemming because when you asked me earlier, like, what is one of like my life goals, I guess, with all of this? Um, my main goal, I kind of touched on earlier, is like specifically targeting women and just helping them nurture that feminine energy. Like that's like my biggest goal of all. Like one day I'd love to have like either, I have two possibilities. I either want to have just like my own studio, or I would love to have a place where people can perform. So it could be like maybe you come get something small to eat, couple drinks, but you're also watching whether it's pole dancers, aerial hoops, silks, or just musicians, like whoever, burlesque dancing. Like I just want it to be a place for people to show their talents, because in the pole world and in the aerial fitness world, there's not a ton of opportunities to really showcase what we can do. And I would love to create a space for that. And just that's one way that people can just see, hey, look at what there is out in the world. That can help get rid of a lot of stigma, but it also can help financially support these athletes and dancers, you know? And yeah.
Yeah, because I think, for instance, like let's say Mauritius, I know there are artists that are struggling, you know, because sometimes
Yeah.
it's difficult. So in a way, it's like you're helping other people, you're shedding a
Mm-hmm.
light on other people. So that's a nice
Yeah.
initiative. Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like it's a win-win in a way. It's like it's showing the world all these different things you can do, right? Like we with pole dancing, there's some dancers I want to have doing the sexy stuff, but I also want some dancers to do the hard stuff or the pole art stuff, the contemporary flow. I want them to see all that this world has to offer, including other stuff. Like I know burlesque dancing is a dying art as well, and I went to a burlesque show for the first and last time at the start of 2020. And I was just amazed. Like that's when I first thought I want to have a place where people can perform, because I didn't realize how much of a dying art form it is, and people don't know about these things. And I think if they know and take the time to go see it, it will stay around for a long time. But it's also, like you said, helping support those who are financially struggling. And I feel like we should be able to do what we love and make a living, because what we do isn't easy. And it's like, if it's your passion and you want to do it all the time, I think it should help support keeping a roof over your head. And I want to be able to help do that, you know, instead of we all have to sit at some computer desk job that we hate, you know, like that's not what we're made to do. We're made to be creative and explore and
To create more content for the world.
exactly. And then on top of that, like it's helping women master that feminine energy and bring that back to life. So that's what I want to do.
Right. And I think you will do it one day because you have like a determination whenever you're talking.
Yeah.
Determination, your passion. We feel like
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's good vibes. So you
Yes.
think you will succeed.
Yes. Once the place is open, I'll give you an invite.
I would, even though I won't be able to. Maybe I will come. We never know. I would love to. So I think we've covered a few things.
Yeah.
I'm very, very grateful for that little chat. Maybe one day we will have another chat. That would be
Yeah.
amazing. So
Update.
how's your progress with the French?
Oh my gosh, my French is it's so weird. I feel like if I even go 2 days without speaking it, I'm like, wait, do I even know French anymore?
I said I can be your French buddy. Yeah? it's
Seriously,
pretty much easy, but you have to have la pratique. La pratique fait la différence.
Yes, yes. Oui.
Oui.
Because I thought French was really difficult, but I just think I was learning it in a different way. And that's what I liked about Damon's technique is like, you're more interested in learning a language when you're learning about the stuff you actually want to talk about and the things you really do. And it's easier to practice it as well. Like even when I'm at work or something, sometimes I just start trying to think of stuff in my head that I would say in English just to make sure I can do it. And it's like, that's when I realized, okay, I can speak French. I wasn't choosing the right path instead of like just using a textbook. It's like, I'm never going to learn that way. And it's too boring. And I also feel like it's not as accurate sounding. People are going to be like, who's this foreigner, you know?
No, you did well in your video. It was like really good with that little accent.
Funny, now that I'm learning another language, like I understand when people are speaking English and people are like, oh, you have such a nice accent. They're like, I have an accent? Like you don't even realize because you're speaking, you know? And it's like, I'll try so hard to sound like super French. And I'm like, I already know I still have an accent.
You know what? At French, they love when someone speaks French with an accent. Quand ils ont un petit accent, c'est un petit accent sexy.
It's from my...
But do you know Spanish?
I don't know Spanish. I'm not learning any other languages.
Because you know French, the root is Latin.
Yes.
So if you know Spanish, I believe it can be a little bit easier because there are some words that are quite similar. Spanish is a bit Latin as well, so.
Yes. I know I want to learn like other Latin languages once I get more handle on French because I feel like it'll just be easier. I was trying to learn French and Italian at the same time, but then I was just mixing them up. So I was like, okay, I'm going to stick to French until I for sure know what it is and start learning another Latin language.
I started Spanish, but I was like, you know, when you don't have someone to talk Spanish to, it's like you're learning this for like, you understand? You need to have like the back and forth.
See, and we're like total opposite. Like if you lived here, you could for sure learn Spanish, like with anyone. Yeah. So many people speak Spanish here, but no one speaks French here.
Yeah. But how did you wanted to do like French? Like how, because of Dominic's video?
Not really, actually. I've always, since a kid, just loved the idea of learning French. I don't know what, it just kind of sparked inside of me. And I just thought it was a beautiful language, you know, it's very romantic and just a beautiful language. And I love how the French have like preserved their language, even if you go to like those countries, because it is beautiful and you don't want it to be a forgotten language. So yeah, that just started randomly. But when I first found Damon, I found them when it was Damon and Joe together.
Oh yeah, I love their videos. It was I'm sad they're not doing videos anymore.
I know, but I still like to follow them separately, and it's just interesting. They talk about totally different things now, but nice. And I loved when they made their French videos together.
Yeah.
And that's when I think seeing my videos is what made me commit to learning the language again, because I would kind of go on and off. But just seeing how they make these quick videos of like how to get the hang of certain things, it definitely helped. So I was like, okay, let me just commit to this. Like, why not? I want to travel to so many like French speaking countries, like all over the world. And what I like about English and French is like, these are two, I think, very valuable languages to have if you want to travel a lot. So yeah, I'm definitely excited that the language is finally making sense to me after all these years.
So if you come in Mauritius one day, I will gladly show you the different places because it's a little paradise.
I can already tell. I've seen videos. Like I went on the Instagram like hashtag, and I was like, "What is this place? It's gorgeous." I never even heard until this year.
The ocean.
Yes, like I'm like that's like a dream. Is it always warm?
It's very hot. You see, I'm sweating. It's like it's like our winter here is not like your winter. It's like
Uh-huh.
a summer with like winds, and we have cyclones.
Oh my God, that's
Fun
scary.
fact: I was born in a cyclone. There was no electricity.
That is crazy. Your mom terrified?
Yeah, because you know the maternity thing went on fire, and the fact that there was no light, they had to yeah, the next day because there were no electricity.
So she was just, oh my gosh, she's went through it.
Yeah. That's my story. I was born during a cyclone, and it was, I think, cyclone caused 3 or 2, like you know the level. Yeah.
So it was a big one.
It was.
Wow.
The name was Hollanda. So I thank my mom she didn't give me that name, Hollanda. Yeah, that's my story.
Yes,
I want to go in America one day. I really want.
I want Island one day. You're kind of
It's nice, but the opportunities are very. There's not a lot of opportunities in Mauritius, but I love it anyways.
Yes. Yes. I mean, that's how. What's interesting, even though I was talking with my boyfriend recently about the whole like American dream, you know, so many people want to come here and make a life for themselves. And yeah, I mean, that you can get money here, but I think what's interesting about the whole COVID thing is it really shined a light on, you know, in order to really have this dream life that people think you can have, bless you, in America. Like don't get me wrong, you can have like a small like family business. Those are very real possibilities. But you know, if people want to come here and be like millionaires and drive the nicest cars and do all these things, it's like you have to really take advantage of a lot of people. And it's like, you know, you have to have a certain spirit inside of you to take advantage of people like that and exploit people, because that's the reality of it. It's like you have to give up a lot in order to have these fancy things. And I'm not saying it's impossible. Like I'm sure there's good people out there who have really nice lives, but I think for the average person, it's like, I feel like the American dream's kind of an illusion. And it's like, even Americans, we can't even have that dream and we live here already. You know what I mean? So it's like realizing that no matter where you are, it's like you have to just make the most of it, because they're going to feed us lies in so many different directions in order to keep us on this little hamster wheel. You know, and I'm trying to get people off. I'm trying to get myself off the hamster wheel. I want to get other people off. Like if I have this place for them to perform and dance, like that helps people get off the hamster wheel, you know, and you can still make a living, enjoy life, but you don't have to hurt anyone else in the process.
I love it.
And that's like capitalism thing, right? Like look at what America's done to like the whole world basically for resources. And it's just really unfortunate. But what's nice is that a lot of us see it and we're ready to not partake in it and just find another solution.
Yeah.
It's like fighting with capitalism.
To tap into the little things that makes the difference. Like the little things, that's why we have to be grateful each and every day. Like to be grateful for what we already have instead of chasing what we don't have. So I think that's the cool.
It's like the grass is always greener on the other side, right? Like, because I'm looking at you and it's like you live on this beautiful place surrounded by the ocean. Like it sounds like a dream to me, but you might be thinking you want to come to America. And I'm like, there's nothing out here, you know?
Let's exchange life. No, I love Mauritius. I love Mauritius, but my parents are in America. So it would be great as well to get to enjoy with them as well. But in Mauritius, I have my grandma, which I love.
I know, it's so hard. No place is going to be totally perfect. You just got to find the one that works for you.
Yeah. But the best thing would be to have a pack bag and just travel the world and interview people, get their stories and share it to the world.
Yes.
It's what makes me happy, like sharing people's life to inspire other people. That would be amazing. Just a little bag, my laptop.
You can do it. You can easily do it. You know what I mean? That's what's great about the internet and technology is you can make money from anywhere in the world enough money to cover your travels, and you can do what makes you happy. I mean, you're already doing it.
My
It's just not.
No, thank God that we have Zoom, so I can still contact people from around the world.
Exactly.
Thank you very much, Melissa. It was a pleasure talking to you, and I hope we will talk again soon.
Yeah, next time in French.
Pas de problème, je vais être prêt avec toutes mes notes pour t'aider.
Yay! Okay. So much interviewing me.
Thank you.